Greetings, all 640 adventurers of the realm. The Dungeon Coach has finally released a rules update for his TTRPG DC20. And since you guys liked the last DC20 video I made, like, a lot, I figured we'd start diving into DC20 a little bit more on this channel. After all, it is my TTRPG of choice. Let's get started. In DC20, there are 4 attributes: might, agility, charisma, and intelligence. What I love about this system is that each of these attributes affect the game in their own unique way, unlike some more popular titles. In DC20, the attributes are broken up into 2 groups: physical and mental. Let's start with our physical attributes: might and agility. In DC20, might represents your physical strength, health, and endurance. It's most commonly associated with heavy weapons and heavy armor, your health, might saves, and skills like athletics and intimidation. It always bugged me that the Constitution attribute was used for things like health in Dungeons & Dragons when it really has nothing to do with it. Also, how nice is it that intimidation is a physical skill? Next, let's talk about agility. This attribute represents your avoidance, dexterity, and finesse. Agility is used for things like ranged weapons, your physical defense, agility saves, and skills like acrobatics, trickery, and stealth. It also contributes to jumping and reducing damage from falling. Now, let's move on to our mental attributes: charisma and intelligence. In DC20, charisma represents your charm, presence, and force of will. Basically, how you interact socially with other creatures. Charisma is most associated with things like your mental defense, language checks, grit points, charisma saves, and skills like animal, influence, and insight. A key change from D&D that I really like is the influence skill. Instead of debating with your table if the roll calls for deception or persuasion, it's just one roll. It's little touch-ups like this that make me really appreciate this system. Next up, intelligence. This attribute represents your reasoning, understanding, and wisdom. Intelligence is used for things like language checks, your mental defense, intelligence saves, and a bunch of skills ranging from investigation and medicine to nature, occultism, and so much more. In DC20, attributes can have values that range from -2 to +7. These values measure your character's aptitude with those attributes. These values will increase as you level up, but you cannot exceed your attribute limit. Thankfully, these limits increase every 5 levels. For example, at level 1, you can't have an attribute with a score higher than 3, or at level 5, you can't have an attribute with a score higher than 4. Some of you might be wondering, why is your attribute score capped at all in DC20? Well, that is because of a secret 5th attribute: the Prime modifier. Prime represents how experienced and heroic you are as an adventurer. In DC20, Prime is the main bonus added to things like your attack checks, spell checks, save DCs, and awareness checks, aka your perception. The value of your Prime attribute is always going to be equal to the value of your highest attribute. If you wanted to play a paladin with an intelligence of 3, and that was their highest attribute, their Prime would also be a value of 3. This means that your class doesn't have to be tied down to certain attributes. You can now play that might-based wizard or that charisma-based barbarian. And there you have it. You now have a general understanding of how attributes work in DC20. If you liked what you saw and want to grab a copy of the alpha rules for yourself, I've included a link in the description and pinned comment. Every purchase directly funds DC20 and gets it ready for its Kickstarter this summer. Also, it helps me out. Have a question about DC20? Let me know in the comments. If you want to support the channel, consider liking the video and clicking the subscribe button. And while you're here, check out these videos. I think you'll like them. I'll see you in the next video.